The year is 1971. A young filmmaker prospect, George Lucas, just finished his first film. Lucas looked onto the Hollywood film scene with boredom. He wanted to make bigger and more ambitious stories, his way. So he opens his first studio, Lucasfilm, as a place where he could shake up the status quo of how movies were made and what they were about. His big idea? Star Wars. Lucas's vision for Star Wars was ambitious, to say the least, with alien creatures, massive spaceships, and epic battles. But in order to bring that vision to life, he needed to develop new technology that would enable him to create the kinds of effects he wanted. Enter Industrial Light and Magic, or ILM, the visual effects facility that Lucas founded in 1975 to work on Star Wars. To finish the film, ILM experimented with new techniques for creating effects. They're able to achieve some incredible feats, like the creation of the Death Star trench run sequence, which involved building detailed models and filming them with a motion-controlled camera. This leads to more movies and more innovations in VFX and computer graphics, which begins a long string of breakthroughs on down the line to today, where ILM continues to make breakthroughs in the mixed reality space with their current flagship show, The Mandalorian. And when phrased that way, it all sounds so simple. We live in a world of robust render engines and accessible cinema-grade programs. It's easy to forget how difficult creating visual effects was, never mind creating the platform that creates the visual effects. This video is dedicated to the breakthroughs in visual effects done by ILM, from the beginning in 1975 to today, and how one company can be the consistent leading force in the amazing visual effects we see in the movies we watch today. This is the history of ILM's genius visual effects. If the 70s was where ILM learned to walk, the 80s and 90s was where they began to fly. Let's dive in. 1980. Go Motion. ILM and Phil Tippett come up with Go Motion, which blew away stop motion standards by incorporating motion blur. This blended stop motion animated elements seamlessly with the background, making the VFX shots from Empire Strikes Back more realistic and integrated. 1985, the first full CGI character. John Lasseter and Dennis Muren bring the stained glass knight to life in the young Sherlock Holmes. In this interview, Muren shows the initial concept of what the knight was going to look like, but after his wife came up with a new concept, they changed it to the flat glass pieces that made it to the big screen. This knight was made up of over 100 polygons, was on screen for 30 seconds, and took 6 months to complete. 1993, View Paint. For the texturing of the dinosaurs and other elements in Jurassic Park, ViewPaint enabled animators to apply 3D textures to models for the first time, speeding up the post-production of the film. With ViewPaint, painting on physical models was no longer necessary. This video by Clayton Fiordi dives deep into ViewPaint, and if you're interested, it's in the description below. 1994, first photorealistic CGI character. Less than 10 years after the first fully CGI character hit the big screen, ILM integrated Jim Carrey's crazy movements and facial expressions with photorealistic CGI. The crazy part? It's all hand animated. That's just one of the elements that keeps The Mask one of the iconic 90s movies that we remember today. 2006, iMocap. ILM had been developing motion capture and performance capture since 1999, but it wasn't until 2006 with the release of Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest that they revealed iMocap to the world. iMocap, or image-based motion capture, allows for the seamless integration of live-action actors with digital characters. The performance of Davy Jones was captured on set, then translated into the detailed digital model, complete with intricate facial movements and expressions. 2011, real-time rendering. ILM took another massive step in 2011 with the development of their real-time rendering technology. This improves the speed of production and allows for faster on-set decisions. 2015, ILM X Lab, a separate division dedicated to virtual reality, augmented reality, and immersive experiences. With projects like Trials in Tatooine and Vader Immortal, ILM X Lab brings new possibilities to interactive storytelling and will continue to set the standard of immersive entertainment. 2018 to 2020, Stagecraft. With the release of The Mandalorian, ILM once again revolutionized filmmaking with their release of Stagecraft. This brand new virtual production system allows filmmakers to shoot live action scenes on photorealistic virtual environments, using massive LED screens to create immersive backdrops. This approach not only reduced the need for on-location shooting and green screens, but also provided real-time lighting and reflections, enhancing the final result. Everything that ILM does amazes me, but my main question still remains: how? What kind of company is ILM that so much innovation can constantly be coming out of their doors? Who works there? What's the culture like? And to answer these questions, I had to go to an expert.
The goals for the people who work at ILM, these fantastic creative minds, have always been to find the most creative and effective way to realize a vision of a director.
This is Pamela Glintenkamp. She was hired by Lucasfilm in 2001 to produce oral history interviews that would document the history of George Lucas's companies, and in doing so interviewed over 20 major players at ILM. Then in 2005 she was commissioned by the publisher Abrams in association with Lucas Books to write a book about the history of ILM between 1995 and 2001, and interviewed 20 more of the artisans from ILM. And my main question was, what makes ILM so good at what they do? Is it like a culture in the company? Like it's that I've got something and I'm not going to hold on to it?
It's a really unique community of individuals. They're almost like a brain hive. They're like a think tank. So if someone has a problem that they're trying to solve, might pick up the phone and call so-and-so down the corridor and say, have you ever done anything like that? So I haven't done anything like that, but I've done something like this. Together, they kind of come up with what the new solution is. And I think that's how they've been able to also constantly push the envelope of what's possible.
Do you have any memorable moments from interviewing like some major players at ILM?
I have to use a quote from George Lucas, because of course, without George Lucas, we wouldn't have ILM. Even on the first Star Wars, things were accomplished that had never been done before. Every time I make a movie with ILM, we're pushing the envelope. I'm able to open my imagination and go places that I couldn't go without ILM. I'm pleased as a filmmaker that I can tell stories I want to tell, and that ILM can bring them forth better than I can even imagine them. So I thought that last bit is kind of a key idea, that a filmmaker may start at a certain point, but then there's the creative collaboration between the filmmaker and the geniuses at ILM, where there might be a vision that's even greater than what the filmmaker started with.
Right. I've got a challenge for you. The next time you go to the movies, you get your popcorn, you get situated in your seat, and it begins. When the VFX come on screen, don't just view them as VFX. View them as years of progress and innovation over and over, moving on one step to another that builds onto each other until we've gotten where we are today. Think of how much work went into that one shot that you're seeing and how that one shot is built on the shoulders of innovation from the past. And know that whatever movie you're watching and whatever effect you see, somewhere down the line, ILM played a part in making that shot possible.